Welcome to this live stream, which is all about how to look good on Zoom. We're going to take you in the next few minutes from being a zero to an absolute Zoom hero. So without further ado, let's crack on. First things first, when you're doing Zoom, obviously you want to check that the lens itself is clean. And what you need to do is you need to clean it in a gentle circular motion from the inside out. Ideally, that's what we do when we're cleaning TV lenses, and then any sort of dirt will then gradually migrate itself from the inside of the lens to the outside of the lens. Absolutely use a soft lens cloth. Something that you might use for your glasses, for example, would be absolutely fine for your specs. Whatever you do, though, don't use anything abrasive like tissue paper or any kind of paper, because what will happen is it will actually scratch the lens, and once you've scratched it, the lens is no good. The other thing to do, obviously, when you're doing a Zoom call is you require light on your gorgeous face, and sometimes people don't get this right, do they? You need to face into the light. So here I've got a lovely daylight window here, so I'm being lit half by the sunshine beaming through the gorgeous spring day. And I've also got what we'd call a fill light, which is at a slightly lower level. So you're getting a little bit of shadow on one side and the brighter daylight coming in from the other. Whenever you're doing a Zoom, I will be doing another video, which will be specifically diving into lighting setup. So definitely check out the channel for that. That will be coming up soon. But if you're to start with, and if you don't have a lighting setup, then just face into the daylight. That's what you want. You want your face to be brighter than your background. And if that doesn't happen, then what you get is this little chap down here. You look like a silhouette, and you look like you've done something a bit naughty. You look like you're on Crime Watch. So we don't want that. That's not a good look. So with natural light, this is the sort of diagram that you should be bearing in mind. For some reason, the sun is green. Just overlook that. So like I say, face towards the daylight source, the window. And ideally, in terms of background, you want to, if you can, be at least 2 meters away from it, just so that, again, you are front and center in the frame and you are what people are concentrating on. We'll come on to sorting out the background in a minute. Ideally, the background, like I said, should be darker than you are. Obviously, today in my setup, it's not quite that ideal setup, but you know, these are all ideals that you need to try and work to if you possibly can. So what you absolutely must do is think about the level, your eye level, the eye line we call it. So this little chap here, he has got a very low eye line because what has happened is the computer he's operating on is below his eye line, which is absolutely not ideal because he effectively will be staring down to the people. And psychologically, that is not a good look. This is what the people will be seeing on the other side of that. We've seen enough nostrils, folks. We don't need to do that. And also, like I say, psychologically, it will put the viewer in an inferior position in terms of their mind's eye. It's not a very comfortable position to be in terms of when you're watching people talk and having a meeting. So the other thing to do, therefore, is to make sure that you put the camera on your actual eye line itself. Ideally, actually, slightly above the eye line. So as we have here, you could stack the computer on a load of books, or you could use a tripod or some kind of thing like that. But basically, you want to, like I said before, have the camera on your eye line. The other thing to bear in mind, guys, is also headroom. It's all about framing. You look at these two chaps here, it just makes for uncomfortable viewing, and it's actually quite distracting. And if you're having kind of a high-powered meeting, you want people to be present. You want people to be paying attention to what you're saying, not wondering whether a 747 is just about to, go through the top of frame there because there's 75 foot of headroom. So This is a really good way of actually having a setup where the camera is on the right level. You can see there she's got this on a little plinth, so if you've got a setup like that, that would be fantastic. Or if you're doing something on a phone, then just a little phone bracket on a little tabletop tripod would absolutely do the trick. The other thing to do to bear in mind is the framing. Like I said before, you want a nice head and shoulders type thing. This grid line here, this is what's called the rule of thirds, and ideally you want your eyes to be 2/3 of the way up the frame. I won't go too much into the rule of thirds. It's a very sort of aesthetically pleasing frame. There are all sorts of reasons, mathematical and geometric, why that pleases the human brain. But that ideally, when you're doing a Zoom call, that is the kind of size that you want to aim for if you possibly can. And like I said before, when you think about framing, when you're thinking about where the light's coming from, things like that, also pay attention to the background. What you don't want is a really, really cluttered background. Again, you want to make sure that you are the center of attention because you are the story at this point, right? What you don't want people doing in your Zoom meeting is wondering what on earth is in the background and trying to read, you know, what books you've got and all the rest of it. You want to make sure that you remain the center of attention. The other critical thing as well, obviously, is the sound. So you could either have a setup like I've got here, which is a Rode boom arm, which is more of a kind of podcast vlog type situation. It depends on how many Zoom calls and video type things you're going to be making as to whether you want to invest in that. This kind of setup's about £250. All you actually need really is something like this, which is you can plug into your phone or your laptop. What I would advise though, absolutely, is that you don't use the that you don't use the microphone that is in the laptop itself. The reason being that will be very omnidirectional. It will be picking up noise from absolutely everywhere. If you're wearing something like this, the microphones that are attached only pick up the sound from a comparatively small area. Therefore, you'll be restricting the amount of extraneous noise that you're picking up from behind you and things like that. You can't really get away with rubbish sound. You can get away with slightly dicey visuals, but if people can't hear you properly or clearly, then they will drift off really, really quickly. Guys, if you're getting value from this, please do smash that little old like button. That'd be amazing. If you're into this kind of thing, in terms of our channel, we're all about allowing businesses, empowering businesses to make the most of video marketing, really get under the bonnet of making video work for them. If that sounds like your cup of tea, pop over to the bit.ly link there that you can see, the bit.ly/business-growth- with video. There's a channel there stuffed full of resources to help you and your business make the most of video. We'd love to have you join our community. So let's have a little look at the checklist for effective zooming. We want to obviously first up make sure that the lens itself is clean. We also need to make sure that we're in frame, that our eye line is right, and also that the lighting's good, that we can see our gorgeous face and we, relative to the background, are brighter so we don't get into that silhouette situation. Also, we want to check that the background itself isn't too distracting and there's nothing naughty poking out of our heads. That's the other thing. Watch for vertical lines and stuff like that. I know this isn't an ideal situation here, but you get the gist. Sometimes, make sure there's no plants or whatever popping out the back of your head, because again, that just makes it look distracting. And also, like I said, the sound is critical. So make sure that you've either just got your little kind of headphones plugged in, but whatever you do, don't rely on the microphone on your, either your phone or the laptop itself. Guys, I really hope that was of value to you. As I say, pop across to our YouTube channel, the link's there. If you're wanting to get hold of a 20-page business video guide, then pop across to businessvideoguide.com, ping us your email details, and we will rush you a copy of that toot sweet. So that would be fantastic. And also there is, like I said before, we'll be deep diving into the world of lighting for Zoom calls to make your Zoom calls look that little bit more professional. Guys, I really, really hope that was of value to you. Absolutely smash that like button. Any questions, pop them in the comments and we'll get back to you. In the meantime, have a fantastic day. I look forward to seeing you again soon on the next one of these. Take care. Bye-bye.